Welcome, everybody. It's Breakthrough Week, and I'm so excited. I even got my new pink shirt on. Pink is like my signature color. It makes me feel the most authentic. I don't know if you guys have a signature color, but as you're joining me, just to say hello, we have almost 215 women joining Breakthrough this week. That is amazing. Like, can you just think about the ripple effect that 215 women is going to have in our workplaces? And so as you're joining, say hello, tell me where you're from. Like, everybody is, I don't think, no matter where you're from right now, I don't think anybody has escaped the frigidity. That was a tough word. That is, like, people's power grids are shutting down in Texas. Like, I'm in Nebraska and the wind chill is like -30. It's just crazy. So say hello, tell me where you're from. And just be super curious. Like, just talk to me a little bit about your experience with authenticity. Like, what does it mean to you? Can you tell when people are being inauthentic? Do you feel like it's hard for you to be inauthentic at work? Just tell me all the things. I would just love to hear again, like, what's top of mind for you? Like, what comes up for you as you're thinking about this topic? Is there a color that makes you feel most authentic? In what situation do you feel most like your authentic self? So I love the color pink. It makes me feel most authentic. So I'll try to keep an eye on the comments because I love engaging with you as you are all dropping in on your stuff. So for those of you who don't know me, because you're new to me, I am Kelli Thompson. I am a leadership coach and a speaker. I spent, nearly 20 years, if you count my experience in college in corporate America, before I leapt out. I kind of followed my own authenticity to be a leadership coach. And that was a big leap for me. And in fact, when I first went out on my own, I kind of worked with all different types of leaders. So I worked with, men and women. And lots of times I was assigned to companies. So companies would hire me and they would say, hey, can you coach my people? And I'd say, sure, that sounds great. But I think as I got more into it, one of the things I started to notice was how much I loved working with women. And so when the pandemic hit, everything shifted in my business. And so that's how I got super focused on women. And it was interesting because when I think about Breakthrough Week, and I think about my mantra of like helping women make impact in the rooms where decisions are made, this whole thing kind of came to me when I was sitting in one of those all-day meetings, like in a poorly lit conference room when we were all in conference rooms. And the meeting was just going on and on and on. And we were hearing from like the same people over and over again. And I was so annoyed. And I was just like, ugh, I was like, I need a bathroom break. I got to get out of here. And have you guys ever been in this? And I can't see your comments, so I don't know if it's like my if it's me and my system that can't see them, because sometimes my desktop is a little wonky. So I'm going to try to check this out on my Facebook group as well. And we finally got a bathroom break, and when I sat down in the bathroom stall, I was like, oh my God, why am I so annoyed? And like what I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, all the people that are talking are men. And I'm like, well, is there more men than women in this room? And in fact, there wasn't. Like, the room was really close to 50-50. So I'm like, why aren't these women saying anything? Like, has this been your experience where you're just sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, we're hearing from the same voices. And I feel like it's mostly men that are speaking up. And I'm like, why aren't the women saying anything? And then like the bathroom walls were like, kind of came into me and they were like, you could be the one to say something. And I'm like, what? No. So like, did I go back into the room and like suddenly start to speak up and say something? No, actually I did not. I said nothing because I had just a horrible case of imposter syndrome. I was like, who am I to say something? I don't have enough experience to speak up yet. I just had all these doubts like go through my head, and it was just hard. And what I realized that day, though, was that it's important for women to make impact in the rooms where decisions are made. Because otherwise we hear the same voices and decisions are made with the same bias and they're made with the same lens. And what I think is also really important too is to recognize that like the research shows is that the more women there are in senior leadership positions, the more money companies make. And, RBG was partly right when she said that women belong in the rooms where decisions are made. But where I think she left a little room for was it's not just enough for them to belong. Like it's super important for them to actually make impact in those rooms. Because it's easy, as you all know, just to say, oh, we put a woman on the board, we put a woman on the leadership team, and she's in the room, but she's either not empowered to speak or she's mansplained or there's no room for her. But she also has to have the courage and the confidence to show up and not just, just speak, but be authentic about what she believes in, use her advocacy, confidence, all these sorts of things. And so that's why I got super passionate about helping women. And that's why I created this week, is because it's dedicated to your career and leadership breakthrough so that you can make impact in the rooms where decisions are made. Why? Because your career livelihood depends on it. We can reduce burnout. We can get our voices heard. And at the end of the day, this benefits our employers as well. So I can't see your comments. So I have a hunch that this is because it's an issue with my thing. See, there's 16 of you. So I'm going to have to look at my phone so I can see all your comments. But this is just what we do. We just make do. So we have people from, you got red as your color, Omaha, Davenport, Iowa. Thank you, Robin. I like pink too. Ashley says you feel the best when you put your makeup and your hair curled. Natalie says authenticity means being fully me. Absolutely. Completely vulnerable. Absolutely. So I want to share a little story about just authenticity. And I'd be curious, just drop it in the chat. What do you all think keeps you from being your full authentic self at work? What is it? What is the thing that gets in the way? So I remember when I was working at an organization, I'd been there for 12 years, and I had kind of discovered that, I loved working there. I loved the people. It was the best place to work. They won all sorts of community accolades. But at the end of the day, I just never feel like I was fully utilized. Do you guys know what I mean by that? Do you ever feel like you're just kind of a little bit overlooked? One of my clients told me once that they're sometimes I feel like I'm getting a little dumber because I'm not being challenged, and it was kind of a blend of her not raising her hand plus just being overlooked at work. I just felt like I was constantly pushing a rock uphill. And when it came down to it, I was like, I guess my values don't really match the company's values. And so I decided it was time to look for a different role. But here's the thing, is my most recent role at that job, and tell me if you guys have done this, I kind of took because it was a title increase and a pay increase. And I'm having a conversation right now with one of my clients who makes a lot of money and is not very happy because there's just a part of her that she feels like is missing at work. There's this, she just can't fully show up and connect with her colleagues. She can't fully show up and be herself. And so again, rejection by peers keeps you from being your most authentic. Yes, exactly. That is exactly, Amanda, what she's saying, is that there's just this thing where she feels like she can't fully connect with her colleagues. Teresa, yes, you don't want to look stupid. That's totally still my number one limiting belief. I'm going to talk about that on Wednesday. I feel like others will think my ideas aren't good, aren't efficient, judgment, oh my gosh, acceptance, yes, absolutely, all the things. These things keep us, right? Because I think there's something in us that says okay, if I show up as my authentic self, then maybe what if people don't accept me? What if people reject who I truly am? That just, I start to sweat a little bit even when I say that, because I felt like that was at my core. I'm like, well, what if they reject it? Then who am I? My past experiences, my past bosses, absolutely. Feeling not supported by others keeps me from being my best self. It will fall on deaf ears. Oh, right? that's just like, what if nobody cares? What if I show up? And so when I took this job because of title and money, I honestly felt like my whole self just wasn't at work. Okay. So I decided I was going to leave the organization and find something new. And I made a commitment to myself that when I was going to go out job hunting, I was going to show up and I was going to own all these things about me that made me unique. Because I think it's really tempting that when we're trying to get picked for something or we're trying to get signed on for the project, that we tend to want to cater to what we think other people will want so we get hired. And so there's a spot in your workbook on page 3 that this was kind of the activity that I went through when I was career searching and soul searching. And I'm like, because if I'm going to leave this organization that I've been at, I'm going to make for darn sure that when I get hired at this new place, I feel comfortable showing up every day as myself. Because what do you gain by pretending in the interview just so you get hired? And then what, do you have to like pretend then the whole time for like the 3 to 5 years you're at that organization? Like that is exhausting. And it's just choosing conformity. And I honestly believe that when we choose conformity, instead of choosing confidence, like it slowly kills us every single day. Because what we do is we tend to work harder at someone else's definition of success than we do our own. And so that's why I shared the quote from Melinda today. And I think it's so perfect. And she says, make sure you continue to trust what you know now about yourself and stay true to what you believe in. And not abandoning your values, not abandoning the things that are important to you. And so that's why I have the assignment at the bottom of page 3. Like, have you ever kind of really done a confidence over conformity exercise where you're like, what are my unique skills? Like, what am I better at? Like, what's that unique thing about me that just makes me like totally geek out, right? Like I'm a trainer by heart. I don't know if you can tell, but like training and educating people just like lights me up inside, right? And so I knew that when I, moved to a new role, like I'd have to make sure that that was a thing. So what is it about yourself? Like what comes easy for you? And maybe most importantly, what are things you are not going to settle for? What are you not going to settle for? I want to hear that one in the comments. So some other things of not being authentic. Only woman out of 6 directors, Rachel. Yes, I grew up in financial services and so used to being the only woman in the room. And I think that that's a whole other dynamic, right? Because when we're in a room that's dominated by men, right, we have like this story that we tell ourselves that we need to show up more masculine. We need to show up in ways that they're going to accept and understand. And if I can just get on my soapbox for a minute, I think that the world is shifting. I think that in this new world of remote and flexible work, now more than ever, like feminine energy qualities are going to be the leadership of the future. Like Daniel Goleman was ahead of his time when he wrote Emotional Intelligence, because women naturally are in tune and have so many of these qualities that are going to be necessary in the new world of work, which is empathy, support, understanding, emotional intelligence. I mean, again, tell me where I'm wrong, but I think that all of you that are here right now are like perfectly positioned to be in the right spot to lead the future, because feminine energy is going to be in demand. You can put me on the record for that. Let's see. Oh, drama keeps you back. Oh, dismiss. Oh, things you won't settle for. Dismissing, drama. Ashley, the workbook is in your email. So check your junk or your spam folder. I sent you out the workbook this morning and it's in the email. And don't worry, when I send the recap today, I'll send you another link. So, and I know Natalie shared it again. So thank you, my dear Natalie. I appreciate you. Absolutely. So thinking about things you're no longer going to settle for. Sometimes making that list is simpler than thinking about, okay, well, what are my unique skills? All these sorts of things. I want to know who's brave enough in here to share the asset about themselves that they've been hiding. How many of you are tempted to hide one of your best features at work? Or you've been told that you should hide it? So Christy, because I'm the only woman, they feel I need to schedule everything. Oh, amen to that, sister. Okay, so I had this amazing interview, Christy, with this gal named Brooke Janishek. It's on my YouTube channel. And she talks about how she called someone on the spot for assigning her administrative tasks in a client meeting. And we'll talk about this a little bit tomorrow in advocacy, about how she pulled this person aside and said, I am here, I am capable, I am worthy, basically, and don't ever do that to me again. So it's a great watch. It's my interview with Brooke Janishek on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Kelli Thompson. So yeah, everybody's agreeing with you. Absolutely. Yeah, emotional intelligence top for sure. I will not settle for taking the easy way out and bullying me into something I know is not ethical. Amen, Sarah. And that's the thing, guys, is like, there is always a line that you can draw when it comes to things being unethical, for sure. I'm just looking to make sure I got all of your comments. Any asset that you're all gonna stop hiding? How many of you have you been told? So you're going to stop hiding your creativity, Robin. How many of you have been told that you should tone it down? How many of you have been told that you shouldn't bring your emotions to work? Oh, and by the way, I'm convinced that if Donald Trump can be president, I don't ever want to hear anybody say that a woman is too emotional to be a leader. Never again. Let's see. What else? What do you know? Oh, you touchy-feely. Yeah, you don't need to tone that down. So I want you to start thinking about these things that make you special and unique, because at the end of the day, like, men have never even thought about this. Like, it hasn't even occurred to them that they should come to work and tone it down, or that they shouldn't be emotional. Okay, well, maybe they've thought about that, right? But they've never even thought that, like, they should, not be so direct or so bossy, right? So I want you to start thinking about these things. Oh, your energy is too much. Julia, I have a sense that your energy is probably your competitive advantage. Emotions need to stay at the door. Too assertive, right? All these sorts of things. So here's the thing, and I heard Adam Grant say this. Adam Grant, he's the author of Think Again. And so this is, where we kind of talk about, like, authenticity, bringing your whole self to work. At the end of the day, being authentic means being genuine. That's how Merriam-Webster describes or defines authenticity. At the end of the day, what he says is that authenticity, true authenticity, also has a degree of empathy. So if you're using empathy along with authenticity, you can bring your emotions to work without, allowing those emotions to be detrimental, right? Because you have to this, oh, I can bring my energy to work and still get things done. Do you see the and there? Like, when you're recognizing that empathy is part of the equation of authenticity, it allows you to be yourself, yes, and still know that you're being empathetic of somebody else's situation, feelings, response. And that's the great thing about feminine energy, is I think that women have this gift and this power of being both authentic and empathetic. Say that a few times really fast. Super creative, like critical thinking on solutions. Absolutely. So Natalie, you were once told to smile more and talk less. Okay, yeah, I love that, because that's all about, that's a Hamilton line. Talk less, smile more, laugh less. Absolutely. Like, so these are all things, right, that women have been told. So in your homework, I want you to think about, what is that unique skill, okay? What comes easy for you? Because these things make you feel alive. Those projects that you get assigned, and like, when I was my authentic self in these interviews and I finally did get the job that I wanted, I loved that job. I loved it because every single day, because I told them in my interview process what I was looking for, what I valued, what I wanted, what lit me up, the work was easy. It was so much easier than my previous employer, because even though there was just crappy days, they didn't feel as crappy, because every day I could show up as my true self. and I could bring my true talents to work. And I didn't feel a bunch like I was sitting there trying to hide anything. You know, I was like, hey, this is who I am, take it or leave it. So I wanted to close with some research that Harvard has done. And I love this researcher, Francesca Gina. She says they basically interviewed almost 400 leaders. And what they were doing was these leaders were actually job hunters. They were going in on interviews. And I think one of the things that's tempting for us to think is that when we're trying to get picked for something, whether it's a job interview, whether we're trying to get picked for a committee, picked to lead something, we can tend to think that if I cater to what people want, then they're more likely to pick me. You know, if I conform to what I think they want, then I'll get chosen. So let me ask you guys this, and you can tell me in the chat. Can you guys kind of snuff out when somebody's not being fully authentic? Can you snuff it out a little bit? I feel like I can always sense just the tiniest bit of incongruence. I don't know if you guys can say that in between like words and actions. And does it kind of just make you open the door a little bit to wonder, like, is what they're saying true? Do they truly believe in it? So yeah, you guys are saying absolutely. And so the research was correct. According to the Harvard Business Review, they said that people who didn't cater and didn't conform to what they thought the people making the choices or the hiring decisions wanted, but the people who showed up as their authentic selves, excited about what they had to offer, excited about their skills, their abilities, and just showed up who they are, authenticity and empathy, right? Just being authentic doesn't give you the excuse to show up like an asshole. Like, let's just be really clear on that. And I don't think any of you in here are assholes, but the point is, when you show up as your authentic self and you don't always conform and cater to what you think others want, people love that sort of authenticity. I can tell you that I spent, in that role, I spent a lot of time as a hiring manager. I was the director of HR for this company. I oversaw all the hires that came in. And I can honestly tell you, from that job and then my other times in HR, there were people that we hired that weren't necessarily the right fit for the job in terms of like their qualifications and experience, but because they came in like as themselves, there was something that was so enticing about them and magical and authentic and powerful because they were like, this is it. This is my talents. This is who I am. And we're like, we didn't know we needed that, but we're so glad you came in and told us all about that because now we know we need you. So what the research showed was that the people who showed up as their authentic selves were 26% more likely to get the job and to get paid well doing it. They went ahead and continued on this research and they studied people who were pitching. They were studying entrepreneurs who were pitching venture capitalists to try to get an investment in their business. Exact same results. The people who showed up in their authentic selves and not what they thought the venture capitalists wanted, the authentic selves, individuals, were more likely to get the deals. So it literally pays to be yourself. I honestly believe that choosing confidence over conformity will help you align your purpose and your paycheck. It helps bring alive what's unique about you. And yes, it feels vulnerable and scary. And we're going to talk about the rest of that this week on the how. Today is just authenticity. We're going to talk about the how tomorrow. But I honestly believe it's what will keep you alive at work. It will minimize your burnout. I've been there where I've conformed to somebody else's definition of success, thinking that climbing a ladder or following somebody else's rules was going to get me further. And it made me a little bit dimmer, a little bit more burned out, and a little bit more tired every single year. And I honestly believe that that's what's killing us. It's showing up how someone else wants us to be instead of who we really are. So let me read some of these. So you guys are like, yes, yep. Final thoughts. Guys, what questions do you have about authenticity? Because your challenge is I'm going to give you a little Oprah challenge. So today we're just going to talk about authenticity. And do you guys ever watch Super Soul Sunday? And you know how at the end of Super Soul Sunday with Oprah, or if you've listened to her podcast, she always looks at her guests and she's like, what do you know for sure? And they always have some answers. If Oprah was sitting next to you, and there's a spot in your workbook right here for this, If Oprah asked you, what do you know for sure about yourself? How would you answer her? And there's going to be a spot in the Facebook group. I'll send you an email today, a recap, and I want you to do some of the homework. And there's going to be a spot where you can put your what I know for sure statement. So that's how we're going to keep track of all the challenges, because I want you to be able to win fabulous prizes. So after this, I'm going to put a post up in the Facebook group. You're also going to get a recap email with a link to that post. It'll say day 1 challenge, and you're going to answer what you know for sure about you. It could be something you're not going to settle for. What I know for sure is I'm never going to say yes to work that's outside of my values. What I know for sure is I'm never going to dim my laugh, as someone else said. What I know for sure is I'm never going to lower my energy to make somebody feel better. What I know for sure is that I'm creative and I'm a problem solver, and I'm going to find opportunities to help align with that. What I know for sure is that blank comes easy for me, and I'm going to find that. So just whatever, and there can be like 3 what do you know for sure statements, all right? So you can just share it. I love this. One of my dear friends pinged me last week, and she got this message from another woman, actually, that she had worked with in the past. And the woman sent her a note, and she said, there's this image on your website. I want to send you a referral. But I think that this image that you have on your website, I thought was pretty delightful, is going to turn people off. And so basically the gist of the message was, I'm not going to send you a referral until you remove this message. Basically, the underlying thing was, I'm not going to give you something until you tone yourself down enough that makes me comfortable with you. Has that ever happened to you guys? So no, she did not tone herself down. She actually did replace the image, but she replaced it with something that was actually even a little more lively and little more like her. And in like the time that followed, she actually booked more speaking engagements and more clients than she had in like the previous month. Just by taking a stand to say, no, I'm not going to tone myself down. I'm going to show up as my authentic self, and the people who want to do business with me, the people who are attracted to that will find me. She's like, I don't want to work with people who aren't attracted to the true me. So that's the lesson. I know it can feel scary to show up as your authentic self, because we've talked about like, oh my gosh, like what if people don't like that? What if I get rejected? But at the end of the day, I always believe that choosing confidence, choosing your true self will bring the right people. Because don't we want to work with the people who love to work with us as our true selves? Because then we don't have to show up and pretend. We don't have to show up and conform, and we can be who we truly are. So let me know, type your questions, and whether you're watching it on live, watching it on replay, drop your questions. I'll be watching it all night, all day, all night. I just got the phone call. I see it from the school that we, again, have no school tomorrow. They were trying to call me when I was talking to y'all. So yes, I'll keep watching this. So if you guys have questions, let me know. Drop it in the comments. Today's challenge is all about authenticity, and answer your Oprah question. I'll put the post again in the Facebook group. What you know for sure about you. How can you choose confidence over conformity? Thank you all for being with me today. I went a little bit over time, so thank you all for sticking with me. There's still time that if you want to invite people to join this conversation, you can share the registration link, and people can sign up anytime, and you can watch the replay. So have a good rest of your day. I will look forward to seeing all of your homework challenges. What you know for sure about you. And I will see you guys back here at noon tomorrow.